Hey guys, this is Shane and welcome to my Curator of the Lost channel. Today, I'm talking about how you do eBay returns and refunds, the eBay returns and refund policy. And I'm going to talk mechanically how you go through the eBay system where you find these things, the preferences, how you set them, what they mean. Then let's talk about what I think you can do to make sure that you minimize, or at least help minimize, the number of returns and refund requests. And then finally, what my whole perspective and how I do it, right? What my settings are and how I handle it. So that may be the least interesting of all this. Who knows? Hey, this topic was brought forth by a viewer, Christina Dark. Christina, thank you for this question. It got me thinking about, hey, have I ever done a video on this? I'm not sure, but it's good to revisit it. It's been long enough. It's been good to revisit it. So other things that just thanks for the channel support, for the comments, and I look forward to all of your inputs for the whole community here, how you handle it and your perspective. So I think a final thing before we jump in, I'll say that, my view of this will be jaded a little bit or influenced because I'm primarily a bookseller. I think somebody that sells maybe clothes or apparel, you could have a little bit different requirement on returns, right? But so I think that that's very similar, but I know that I probably am influenced by that I'm predominantly a bookseller. So first, let's just jump in. Let's just go and show where you get to the information on eBay and what the options are and what they mean. So if you're at a listing page, meaning you're putting an item, getting ready to list an item on eBay, whether it's on the desktop or on the mobile app, it's very similar. You're going to go down to a certain point. I'm going to put some things up here on the pop-ups that will show you, hopefully. But you're going to come to a section that says preferences, okay? And you'll see it's usually the pencil icon you hit to edit those preferences. But you'll notice a lot of times at the top level preferences, if you start a new listing or you haven't, you're not going from an existing template or the preference on return it will say no returns accepted. But also in parentheses, a lot of times it'll say, unless the item is not as described. So this is a first little kind of case point or something to think about. If you say no returns, regardless, if the buyer says this thing was not as described, eBay's probably going to force you to return it anyway or do a refund. But it's just a little asterisk there on no matter what. And I think that we'll pull this thread a little bit later on how I handle things, right, on a no return policy. But it'll default as no returns. So now that's turned off. So if you go down into edit your preferences, you're going to see the returns thing, and there's usually a little toggle button. Again, it'll be default with no returns. When you toggle that on, there's going to be three things that are going to pop up, three options that you can drill down on. One is an allowed time for returns. The other is about who pays for return shipping. And the third is called like a refund type. And that's going to mean whether it's money or replacement or both, okay? So you toggle, all you have to do is, if you want to have a returns other than no returns, if you want to have a policy other than no returns, you toggle this button, and then you have to address these three things. If you drill down on those even more, the allowed time, you get three choices right now. This is May, June of 2024. You get three options. You can go 14-day return, a 30-day return, or a 60-day return. That seems insane to me, but I think it defaults when on this, it'll be 30-day, but you can pick these others. Now, I know that there are some things, if you're trying to get some of those seller discounts, that you have to have a return policy. And I'm going to address this what I feel about that. But there's I think you have to have a 30-day return policy if you want to get some of those seller discounts, right? Anyway, but your choices are 14, 30, and 60. Then if you go to the return shipping, there's an option. Either the buyer pays return shipping or it's free. Basically, you as the seller pays return shipping. You got to pick that, okay? I'm not a fan of that option. I think that, again, this will get on how I think about it. I think it depends on the circumstance, depends on whether the buyer should pay or the seller should pay on a return shipping. And we'll unpack that a little bit later. But in short, I think if it's something that the buyer changes their mind on, they should have to, they should have to pay return shipping. I think if you made a mistake as a seller, then you should pay return shipping. That's my thought. So I don't like the eBay system where it just has that option, because I think it really depends. And this feeds into my strategy that I'll talk about later. The third thing that you have to talk about is this money back or money plus replacement. And, I think this also gets into what the circumstance is, right? It's not one size doesn't fit all. It's like, a replacement, maybe you don't have something to replace on some things, but others you do. Or there's some things you don't want to even send it back. You just want to give them the money back and call it done and just write it off, right? So, but this is the option you have. You either toggle money back or money plus replacement. And exactly what that means, it's even hard to understand what it means, but that's your options. All right, so that's how you set it up. And then you just hit those things, you hit save, and your return policy is set with those three options. The time frame, the return shipping, and then what the replacement or refund type is going to be. Money or money plus replacement. Those are three things you have to decide. So let's pause a second and let's talk about refunds and people that want to do returns or refunds. I've been selling on eBay now for over 20 years, and I will say, and I don't want to speak this into being, my experience is probably 99.9% of the people that I deal with are reputable people. They're good people. I don't get a lot of excessive returns or refund requests. I will say that when you get a couple of them, especially if you get a couple of them right in a row, it can leave a sour taste in your mouth, and it can jade you against everybody that's a buyer. But trying to not be that way, my experience is most people, 99.9 out of 100 are good, honest people. Okay, at least I'm gonna keep that world. I'm gonna choose to keep that worldview. All right, it's my experience. So I'm gonna choose to keep that worldview too. All right, but what can you do to help your cause? All right, the first thing is to be accurate in your descriptions and your photos, and don't oversell. That's really three things, right? I said first, it's really everything. So first off, be accurate in your descriptions. Describe things as they are. Don't oversell them. Don't call it something it's not. Be accurate on edition, and edition for books, condition overall. And you can help your cause the most by taking lots of photos and making them good quality photos where people can see what they're buying, right? Again, if you're doing apparel, clothes, shoes, something that people have to wear, it's harder because then there's a fit thing. For us booksellers, it's all about, is this the book I want? And is it in the condition I think it's in, right? So for book selling, that's why I say I'm a little jaded or a little influenced, but in my experience, right? But if you are accurate on your descriptions and you give really good photos and you don't oversell it on condition, you just do good to very good. Don't go above that. I learned years ago, I had some Robert Jordan Wheel of Time signed editions, which I really wish I had those now after the series has come out on Amazon. It'd be worth a lot more. But I sold them. They were good. They were signed by Jordan before he passed away. They had certificates of authenticity where he was at a book signing. And I sold them. They were $40 or $50. And I had said near mint. These things were, as I would say, delicious. They were awesome. The buyer bought them. There were 3 of them. And they sent me an email that one of them had maybe it was even 2, they had this little, pinpoint little discoloration on a couple of spots on the leaf edge. And he sent me a photo. I'm like, what are you talking about? I said, send me a photo. Send me a photo. Sure enough, I could see it there. This was the most minute thing ever. But I had listed this as near mint to mint as new, whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, I see it. Yeah. And he's like, I'm going to have to get this restored. I need $20 back, whatever. I don't know what it is. Sandpaper it down, whatever. Put an eraser on it. Anyway, it was easier for me just to send him some money as a refund. I should have asked for him back. But in that point, I learned never list something as near mint or as new on it. Even if it is, don't. Just do good to very good. Describe it what it is, what you see, and give really good photos. You do all those things, and I guarantee it's going to minimize your refunds and returns. It's going to help the cause, okay? So now, let's segue to the final facet of this, is how I do returns. My policy is no returns. I have no returns toggled. I don't deal with no returns. But in my listing, on my listing page, I say, if you have a problem, please just reach out. We'll work it out. I'll make it right. We'll take care of it. And to me, this is the sort of thing that where you get into, if someone just changes their mind, if they're like, I've had this happen. I bought one for my father, but he had already bought it, so I don't need 2 copies. I want a refund. Okay, I'll give you a refund. Send it back. When it gets here, you pay for shipping because you just decided you didn't want it. And when it gets here and I verify that it's what I sent you and it's still in the shape I sent it, I'll send you your money back. Fine. I've had other people say, believe it or not, I can make a mistake. I'm admitting it here on YouTube. I'm not going to mention this. My wife is never going to see this video, hopefully, but I do make the occasional mistake. And here's the deal. If I make a mistake, I don't care what it is, condition, there was a page rip, there was something that it was written in and I didn't note it, and the person doesn't like that, I'm going to eat it. I'm either going to say, send it back and I will pay that cost back, or if it's depending on what dollar price book it is and with shipping, I'm just going to say, keep it, and I'm going to refund their money to include their shipping that they paid me, the entire purchase price plus shipping. I'll just write it off. It's just done. Again, if you try to pay attention in your listing and your shipping, it's another reason why I like to ship in boxes. I don't want things to be damaged. I don't want it to be what the photos said, but paying attention to all those things in your process help minimize that. But if I make a mistake, I'm going to eat it. I'm going to eat the whole thing, and I'm going to make it as easy. Just give them their money back. And if it's a higher dollar book, I'll ask for the book back and pay that return shipping as well. But if it's something they did or they just decided whatever, then if I'll take it back. I don't mind taking it back. It's fine. And I'll refund them their money, but I'm not going to refund the shipping my way, and they're going to have to pay it to come back if it's something they did. And that's where I think the rules on what eBay can do on the return shipping, it's just not enough. It's one of those situations it depends, right? That's why I say no returns. But in my listing page, I have a little disclaimer caveat there, and I say, look, if I generally do no refunds, no returns, but if it's something you have a problem with, just talk to me, and let's talk about it, and I'll make it right if I can. So that served me well. That's how I do it. That's how you set it on eBay. That's what the things mean, and hopefully a little advice if you hadn't thought about it or if you're getting new to the game. And like I said, I look forward to your comments and perspective, and let the dialogue go for everybody to learn. So remember, see cool, buy cool, list it so you can sell it. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. Talk to you soon. Bye.